Hi Stampin' Friends! Today I am working on swap cards and I was getting almost done and I realized I should have filmed them before I finished because I've gotten most of the steps already pre-done. So I thought I'm gonna stop and do a little filming, and I'm using a brand new stamp set called Snowy Delights. I love snowflake stamp sets. They're one of my favorites and I almost always get the snowflakes. And there are actually 3 snowflake stamp sets going on right now in the brand new products. If you click on what's new, you'll get to them. But this one is in the catalog. Snowy Delights is in the annual catalog. I'm sorry, this mini catalog that just came out. And it goes from September to December. And this is in there. This is an awesome one. And then there are 2 more that I don't have yet because I placed an order for my online exclusive items today. And so they're not going to be here for a while, but there are 2 more snowflakes in there. One of them is snowflakes made of pine branches, really cool. And the other one is snowflake sentiments. So it's not really even snowflake stamps, but there are sentiments that kind of have a snowflakey feel to them. And there are dies that cut out lots of snowflakes and a snowflake background. So it's really pretty. And I don't have those yet, but this one I got right away because I love the uniqueness of this. This snowflake is actually quite large. They only show them on the cover at 90%, so it's actually bigger. It's actually it's clear, so, but it's pretty big, and so that's pretty cool. I love the bigness of this because I feel like I can do different techniques with it. I can do some emboss resist, I can do watercolor, I can do all kinds of things. So this is a fun snowflake, and it's really big if you want to use it for scrapbooking, which I'm sure I will do. My daughter was Elsa for Halloween one year and she was obsessed with Frozen, so I have lots of pictures of her dressed up in Frozen outfits, so that'll be a good page. Anyway, this is a really nice one. I like that it has sentiments and kind of like almost looks like handwriting. Sending you joy and many delights. And then here it says a winter wish for snowy delights. And then this saying could kind of go with either one because it kind of rhymes. So it says with family, friends, and long peaceful nights. Then you've got joy to the world and a warm hello. Love them all. And then this stamp is just one stamp that has all these little snowflakes on it, so you can kind of do a background if you wanted. So I'm using this in the catalog. In fact, I'll just get it out because now I am allowed to show the catalog. They show the stamp set in red and I loved it. And I almost just copied it, but then I decided I would change it up. But here they've used it, and they've used it in conjunction with the dies that go with it, and there are decorative masks that go with it. So it's a whole entire suite. I ended up going with Azure Afternoon and Blueberry Bushel for my card, but I went more with this blending brush technique. So I'll show you what I did. Here's the whole suite, and you can buy it a few different ways. You can get just the stamp set, you can get just the decorative masks, and you can get just the dies, or you can do this bundle that has stamps, masks, and dies, and then that way you save 10% on all 3 of those products. So instead of being $73, it's $65.50. So I really thought it was a pretty snowflake set. I really love it. I love the bigness of this particular snowflake. It's gorgeous. So I'll show you that, and then fun little things here. So here's the card that I'm making, and I'm using just the bundle, and so it comes with this nice label, which is nice, and it fits the joy to the world this way or the hello that way, a warm hello. And then it doesn't fit these big ones. Those would be, you can put those still on the front with a scrap of paper that you just cut yourself or use a different die. And then there's also this die inside the Snowy Delights die set that cuts out these tiny little bits here, and you can use the little starbursty type snowflakes if you want, or you can use it as the negative space, which is what I did. So I cut them out, and then the paper underneath shows through. And then I have a whole baggie because I had to cut out a ton of these. I have a whole baggie of these little tiny snowflakes because I'll use them on something. They're cute. Here, I'll put it on this blue so you can see it better. And they might be fun in a shaker card, or just put like that, just glue dot a little tiny bit on and have a whole bunch of these little sparkles, and they can be snowflakes or just sparkles. They don't have to be snowflakes, and that would be fun. So I saved my cutouts for these because I have so many, because I had to do all of these stack of card fronts. So I just glued them all on and realized I should have filmed. So what I made are these, actually I realized I was short too, so let me grab 2 more and I will make them. Woo! Okay, so I have cut out Azure Afternoon card bases, and I stopped myself from finishing the last one. I already cut them, so I've got them already cut out, but this is, this is my last one that I didn't glue anything to. So I've got Azure Afternoon card bases, and then I've got Blueberry Bushel, and I need 2 per card. These are cut 4 by 5 1/4, and I need 1 for the inside and 1 for the outside. And then for each card I have 2 pieces of basic white, and I cut these 1/8 of an inch smaller than the Blueberry Bushel. Sometimes I use 1/4 of an inch as a border. This time I just used 1/8 of an inch, and so that means that these are 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. That's what this is, and I need 2 per card. One is going to be that cutout that I'll do right now, and then one is going to be the inside, and I've already I don't have any, I'm not short any of these, so I do need these. And all I did was I used both of those colors. I did Blueberry Bushel with the A Winter Wish for Snowy Delights with Family and Friends and Long Peaceful Nights. So I did that, and I did them both at the same time. I lined them up on my grid paper here, and I put both of those stamps on the same block, and I was able to stamp them all. And then in the corner I stamped this little snowflake just to bring some snowflakes to the inside, and I did this one in the Azure Afternoon. So I've got both of the blues on the inside and the outside, and I have the paper, both of them showing on the inside and the outside. Okay, so I'm going to cut these out so you kind of see what those do. And then I'm going to work on the blending brushes. They're gorgeous. Oh, here's the dies. I wanted to show you this one. Look, I haven't used it yet. It's still glued down, but it's really, really pretty, and I just can't wait to get a use out of this one. But I wanted to use the blending brushes for the swap, so I'm not using this one today. And then you get these, and these kind of line up actually with the stamped image, and you get 2 sizes so you can kind of give it a matte finish. And I think later on in the season I'm going to do another card with this where the snowflake is a pull away ornament, or maybe you can make it a bookmark, I'm not sure, because I just love that they give the mats, and it's just really pretty. And this actually, with the cute little hearts and stuff, fits nicely on here too. So there's a lot of layering opportunities with this collection. They've done a great job of having things be layerable but also different, and yeah, super great. And I think they're really well thought out and well done, and these masks are really fun, so I can't wait to show you those. So I'm gonna put this aside and cut this out really fast. So I need 2 of these. I lost one. Here it is. And then we will do the masking part. Actually, let's just do that now, because I'll do that. I'll cut these out when I cut out my big snowflake. Okay, so for my masking, I need a piece of basic white. And I found that I can fit 5 of the big snowflakes on here, 2 and 2 and 1 in the middle. So I'm gonna do that. I'm not gonna cut this. Normally, the first one I did, I cut this into 4s, but I can do 5 if I don't cut it. So I'm gonna leave it as is. And we're gonna start with, they have numbers on the masks. So here they are. You can see I've already used them. So this is number 1. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna start in this corner here on the left. I'm going to go down as far as I can on my paper and give it a little tape on the side and here on the top. You can see that I've got my grid paper down. I do have a glass mat that I like to use, but the ink stays on the glass mat. I'd have to clean it off each time, and you can transfer ink to your fingers and things with the glass mat. So when I'm doing blending brushes, I like to use my paper grid down instead. Okay, so I've got this down where I want it, and then the masks have a little notch here, And that's important. So you're going to grab a pencil. I have to work on lighting in here. It's kind of dark. I hope you can see. Okay, so I'm going to use this notch. Maybe I can adjust this lamp. All right, hopefully that's better. And I'll move up a little bit. Okay, so I've got my notch, and now I'm going to use the lighter color. I'm going to start with Azure Afternoon, and I've got a blending brush for that. Now you don't have to have a blending brush for every single color. You can have shades, so I have some that I use for blue, because you can wash these off. Now you can just wash them off by blending them onto your paper until you no longer get any off. However, when you put more ink on top, that kind of sometimes can reactivate some of the ink underneath. So you hear some people say that you can't or that you shouldn't rinse these. If you buy the Stampin' Up! Ones, you can rinse them under your water and just let the water run on them, and then I hang them in a glass kind of facing with the bristles down, and you'll see ink, even though you cleaned it and you think it's like almost no ink left in there. I mean, sometimes some of the ink stain more than others, but you think you did a great job cleaning it. You put it in a cup with the bristles facing down, come back later and you'll see that it looks almost fully inked again. These bristles, there's so many of them, and they hold so much ink. So you can rinse them underwater. I wouldn't use soap because they'll hold that soap too. And just rinse them underwater, and then you might have to do it a couple times and then let them dry thoroughly. Just leave them out to dry. So I don't wash them every time because they take a long time to dry because water holds in there too. But if you don't rinse them off and you don't have one for every color, you can, as you add new color, reactivate the colors that are already on there. So I have found that to be the case. So if you want true color, rinse them off. And I probably have 6 big ones and 3 little ones, and you know, when I'm ready to do a project, I look for one that's kind of stained green, and I use that for my greens. All right, so I'm picking up some Azure Afternoon, and I'm just going in a circular motion to pick up some ink, and then I'm going to come down to my mask, and I'm going to do a circular motion. Try not to come over here. In fact, if you wanted to put a piece of scrap paper there, that might be wise. So I go one way and then I kind of go back the other way, because you tend to hit edges when you go across. If you're only going in one direction, the one edge will get all the ink. So go one way, then go the other way. And I'm going to be really careful on this edge to not go over. And you can make this as dark or as light as you want. I'm actually going to be a little bit on the light side because I'm going to layer. Okay, so that's layer 1. Look how pretty. Now you can use the masks. You don't have to use all 4. You can use any combination that you like. You can do a variety and not layer them at all. All right, this is mask number 2. And I'm going to line up that notch there again. And that's how I know that I've got it lined up correctly. I've got my notch lined up. I'm going to give it a little tape here on the side. And I'm going to use the same color. And because I'm layering it, it's going to be darker. So this one has slightly smaller segments, and then it also has different areas. So when I reveal this, you'll see the both tones, or values, I should say. Okay, there we go. So now you've kind of got hearts inside of hearts. I love that. And then you've got darker with a lighter outline, and then these different little centerpieces. And I used the same ink, but you get the different lights and darks by doing a layer. Okay, so that's it for the azure. And then I'm going to put this on the right side of me, and on the left side I've got the blueberry bushel because I didn't want to mix up my brushes. So here's my blueberry bushel. All right, now I'm going to use mask number 3, lining it up again with the notch. Okay, pick up some blueberry. Okay. Look how fun that is. Okay, one more layer. Now you can again choose layers and not do some layers, or I'm going to do them all just because why not? Okay, and then this is my last layer. I'm lining it up with the notch. I'm taping it down, and you can see that most of the paper showing is white, so these are going to be accents kind of off to the side. And here I go. And I'm just using 2 colors. You can throw another color on here. You could go navy. It doesn't have to be all, you can mix and match. I wonder how fun it would be to mix colors that make a different color, you know, like if you put a yellow and a red, will you have some fun oranges? I mean, snowflakes don't have to be blue. Like in the catalog, we saw that red one that was gorgeous, or different pinks and blues, and then some of your layers will end up with a purple shade, so that might be fun. Okay, that's the last layer. Perfect. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead. Normally I would do all 5, but I know you don't want to watch me do that. So I'm going to go ahead and do the next step, which is the embossing. I'm going to emboss on top of this. You don't have to. You could just use the die to cut it out as is. You can put, you can do this on a card front and not cut it out at all. But I want to just, this is for a swap, and I'm going to throw on another layer, and I'm going to do embossing. So I've got this big one here, and I'm going to, now I want to say, sometimes when I'm in a hurry, I don't always grab my embossing buddy, but I spent a lot of time making this beautiful, right? And there's a lot of blending and friction and ink on here, so it is a good idea to use the embossing buddy if you have one. If you don't have one, they're awesome. It's like a little pouch that has kind of like, I don't know if it's chalk or some kind of powder in there, and it helps get rid of static from all that rubbing and greasy fingers or flyaways, and you get a nice clean emboss if you use the embossing buddy. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to get this, normally I'd let it sit a little bit, get myself a glass of water or something, because I don't want to pick up, I just put a lot of ink on here, and I don't want to make my embossing buddy turn blue, but I think I've got enough time, and so instead of rubbing, which I normally do, I'm going to pat. Okay, give it a little blow. All right, and then I'm going to use my giant snowflake. Where's my Versamark? I had it out a minute ago. Did I put it away? I went to make dinner. Nope, here it is. Okay, so I'm going to ink it up with Versamark. If you haven't used Versamark, it's a sticky clear ink, and you can't see if you got it on there, so I kind of tend to overkill, you know. And then I got to stand up for this one because I'm lining it up. So I'm gonna try to go straight down, and my knuckles are kind of holding it off, and I'm gonna put my hands right there and try my best. The camera's like in my way, and try my best to lay this down flat. It's hard to do with the camera right there. This was not as hard when I wasn't filming. All right, I think I'm off a little bit, but like I said, right here is the camera in between me and this piece of paper. Okay, so I've got that, and now I'm going to add my, I'm going to cut it out so I can fit it in my tray. Okay, fairly close. Like I said, I'm trying to get 5 on this sheet of paper here. Okay, so I've got this, and I am going to, I already put silver embossing powder in my tray because I did a whole bunch of these earlier. So it's going to collect on the sticky area. Now I can see how off I was. I'm actually not bad at all. Okay, so I've got it sticking onto the embossed area, and I usually give it a little flick on the back. Okay. And then we're going to heat this up. I'm going to pause though because I hear my oven beeping. Okay, so I am back, and now we're going to heat this up. So I like to hold on to it with something heavy, or you can you know, use a pencil and hold on to it because I don't want it to fly away. And that's happened to me a lot, especially when I was making all these little tiny pieces. Okay, so now I'm going to heat it up. Okay, so I've got my snowflake, and now I'm going to get my die. And like I said, there are 2 sizes. I'm going to go with the closer one and cut that out. And I already did, before I thought to make a video, all of my sentiments. So I've got those in a pile over here. So let's do this. And I mentioned that I needed my front. So I'm cutting these little snowflakes in the front, and I'll show you how that works. All right, so it cuts out. Isn't that cute? Super fun. And then I'm going to empty this and do it again. Okay, so I've got my front, and I'm going to layer it onto a piece of blueberry bushel so that shows through super nicely. Okay, and then this is going to go on the front. And on the inside, I already made a whole bunch of insides. Where are they? Here's one. I'm just layering my blueberry bushel, which is 5 1/4 by 4. Same on the front, and then my basic white is 1/8 of an inch smaller, so it's 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. I like to use the liquid glue because it gives me a little bit of wiggle room to kind of play around with it. Okay, now my snowflake is going to go down. I have a little pile here of them. So here we go, and I'm going to look to see, and sometimes they don't line up perfectly every time, and I think this one is actually really good. So I'm going to put this right there. But I want this to pop up a little bit, so I'm going to use some dimensionals. And And then I wanted a little bit of texture to my card, so I brought in some ribbon. Now the ribbon on the spool is a different blue. It's balmy blue. It's close to the azure, but it's lighter. However, this masked azure is even lighter than the cardstock because it's like a thin layer. And this, once it's been thinned out by not being on a sharp roll, is basically a very pale, pale color. So I think it'll be just fine. And I wanted to just kind of loop it around, maybe 6-7 inches. And let me clean up my ends here. I just wanted to give them, I couldn't decide when I was trying to decide where to put my sentiment. I thought about putting it down here, but then it didn't feel super balanced. So then I ended up really kind of liking it in the middle, which does cover a little bit of my beautiful snowflake, but it's okay. So here I'm going to put some of my tape runner, my Stampin' Seal down, and I'm going to just put them slightly tilted. So they kind of cross each other a little bit, not too much, just a little bit. And then I'm going to put this Joy to the World on top with dimensionals. And then we're done. And there is my swap card. I hope you like it. This is really a fun, I have a ton of these more to make. It's a fun stencil mask bundle. Super fun. And just look how nicely those all lined up. And you can use it just like this. It looks very soft if you don't outline it. And here I outlined it in silver. I thought it also might be fun to outline in black and do like a, looks like a line and wash kind of watercolor. I don't know, lots of different things. My mind is racing on what to do with it. There's so many ideas, but I just thought they look really pretty, all 4 layers. But they also looked, as I was putting them on, I'm like, oh, these 2 layers look nice, or this layer looks nice. So you can really decide how many layers you want to put on there. Super cute. I love the little hearts in there, and it has kind of, I don't know, I want to say Scandinavian, but I'm not Scandinavian, so I could be completely wrong, but it has a really cute look to it. Super cute. Okay, hope you like it. This is my Joy to the World swap card with the Snowy Delights bundle. Thanks for watching.